Alright, what's up everybody? It's Ethan here, and I'm coming to you from the National Center for Atmospheric Research in Boulder, Colorado. And today I'm doing a classic Boulder hike up to Bear Peak and possibly South Boulder Peak as well. We'll see how it goes. The two mountains are only about a half a mile apart, but there is a little short class 3 traverse that separates them. So we'll see how I'm feeling when I get up there. So this is the very unique looking and famous little foothills range just outside of Boulder. Lots of cool hikes here. And if you look right there, that's where I'm headed to. That's Bear Peak. It's not an easy hike at all. It's actually a pretty tough hike. Almost 3,000 feet of gain. I think it's about 8 miles round trip. And there is also some scrambling involved. Not anything too serious. Just enough for it to be fun.
Trying to explain why I'm trying to show you.
But as you can see, there's a lot of people here. You saw me just walking through that parking lot. There are tons of cars, and not all of them are here to hike this trail, but there are lots of different trails that start from this area. But this is a very heavily trafficked route, despite how tough of a hike it is. This is considered to be like a really classic Boulder hike, like a must-do for anyone who lives in or near Boulder. So a lot of people want to do it. And this starting point is the only place where you don't have to pay for parking. So as you can see, there are a ton of people here, but that's okay. This is going to be a super fun hike, and can't wait to bring you guys along and show you how cool this area of Boulder is. Beautiful view of Bear Peak from here on the start of the trail. It's a long way up though. This area, this little range where, you know, Bear Peak and South Boulder Peak, Mount Sanitas, the Flatirons, they're all in the same little range, and it's a really beautiful area. Very unique. And of course, it is literally right next to Boulder. A lot of the trailheads that access this range are, you know, right in town. So obviously it gets pretty crowded, especially on a day like today. I mean, it's an absolutely beautiful day. It's like 70 degrees, mostly sunny skies. They're calling for thunderstorms starting at like 6 or 7 p.m. So got plenty of time. So obviously there's a lot of people. And it is supposed to get pretty warm today. But the good news is that even though it's supposed to go up to 80, a lot of this trail is in the shade. So that'll make it a lot nicer. But yeah, it's just beautiful out here. Alright, so as you saw from that sign, I just split off onto the Mesa Trail. So I'll be on this trail for a little while, and then eventually I'm going to branch off onto the Fern Canyon trail. And apparently that's the section of trail with the most elevation gain, because thus far it hasn't been bad. There's been ups and downs and, you know, a couple of moderately steep spots, but overall it hasn't been that bad. And right now it's flat, and honestly it's going downhill a little bit at the moment, which is always fun, because then you know that, you know, when you're on the way back to the trailhead and you're all tired and, you know, ready to be done, you're gonna have to do some uphill. But whatever, yeah, it is what it is. But I'm kind of going into the forest now, so from what I've seen about this hike, there won't be many views for a while. It'll be just hiking through the forest mostly. All right, well, I just crossed Boulder Creek, and the trail's finally starting to go up instead of excuse me, instead of down. There's a lot of downhill. That kind of surprised me. Like, a trail that gains almost 3,000 total feet and is only, you know, 3.5, 4 miles to the summit, you wouldn't expect there to be much downhill, but there was a good amount. So, like I said before, that's going to be fun on the way back. Not. All right, so here is where the Fern Canyon Trail intersects with the Mesa Trail. And you can see the Mesa Trail is a nice wide path, almost like a dirt road. And the Fern Canyon Trail is more like an actual hiking trail. And it kind of just splits off into the woods here. So there is a little marker there, but it could be easy to miss. So make sure you're keeping an eye out for that. But this, from what I've heard, is where the trail starts to get pretty difficult. So luckily, we should be almost exclusively in the shade for a while. So the Fern Canyon Trail's gotten very steep, which was expected. And also pretty crowded, which was also expected. I'm getting there. So this is what the trail is now. Extremely steep. Gaining altitude fast. But the good thing is it's mostly in the shade, so there's spots where you get the sun, like up there, but it's largely in the shade, so that does help. First scenic view in a while. That's looking out towards the east. See a couple of reservoirs out there, and the trail is extremely steep. It's been extremely steep pretty much ever since getting on the Fern Canyon Trail, but you can see people heading up there. There's still quite a few people on the trail, but it is beautiful out here. Really cool. Wow, beautiful view up here. So I'm on the saddle right now between like Bear Peak and Green Mountain, I think. Not exactly sure, but you can see it's the Indian Peaks Wilderness out there. Up there that way is Rocky Mountain National Park. Getting an excellent view out to the west right now. Really cool. And then Bear Peak is up there. That, I believe, is the summit, or close to it. Maybe not the exact summit, but it's close. But I still have a little ways to go. But you know, it's been a tough hike. This view has definitely made all the climbing I've done thus far worth it. So I'm gonna take a short break here, get myself you know, give myself a nice little rest, and then start heading up again. But wow, that's a really amazing view. First view of a 14er on this hike. Long's Peak, right over there. And then down there is Boulder. Over that way is the Flatirons. And then Green Mountains right through those trees. This trail is relentlessly steep. Still going up from the low point on the saddle, but man, it just keeps going and going and going. It's very rocky and just extremely steep, and like I said, it's relentless. There's like no breaks, no flat parts. Holy smokes, look at the view. Wow. You can see so many peaks from up here. And I'm not even at the top yet. That's, like I said, that's the Indian Peaks Wilderness. You can see the whole, pretty much the whole thing from up here. Right there, it's Long's Peak and Mount Meeker. And then all that to the north of it is Rocky Mountain National Park. And then you can see up to like the Never Summer Range. I mean, just endless views. You can see over there to the Flatirons and Green Mountain, Mount Sanitas. Wow, really cool. And then you can even see through the trees there a little bit of Boulder. But yeah, that's incredible. So you can see it's a very rocky trail, still obviously super steep, but I'm getting to the home stretch here. I think it looks like I got about 400 feet of elevation gain left to get to the summit, and I'm getting pretty close to, apparently there's a big talus field followed by a short scramble, and then that'll be it. That'll be the top. But yeah, as you can see, I'm drenched in sweat right now. Just absolutely drenched in sweat, because it's, you know, it's kind of warm. It's not too bad. It's still about 70 degrees. Like the higher up I've been going, the, you know, it's been staying about the same temperature. It might be, you know, like 72, 73, but it's not too bad. But it's just a tough hike. It really is. From what I've heard, this is considered to be by a lot of people to be the toughest hike in the Boulder area. So keep that in mind if you want to do, there's other ways to get up Bear Peak, and you know, there's also other options like South Boulder Peak and Green Mountain and Mount Sanitas, and just keep that in mind. This is apparently the toughest of them all, unbeknownst to me when I started, but apparently it is. Anyway, I'm getting there. The city of Boulder, Colorado down there, and you can see NCAR right down there. That's where I parked. I'm getting close, and a lot of people are heading down, so I'm hoping there won't be, well, actually a lot of people are still heading up, so never mind. There's gonna be a lot of people on the summit. So it's gotten very steep. There's been some light scrambling, nothing too serious, but I'm only about 200 vertical feet off of the summit according to my phone, so I'm getting super close here. This isn't the tallest of mountains, but man, is it tough. But definitely worth it. for all these amazing views you get. It's incredible up here. The flatirons look so small from here. All right, I'm at the final push. The summit is just up there. It's a tough final push, but I'm very, very close now. So
oh, no kidding. I just got covered with yeah, it's like quintessential suburban. Yeah, you just like go there and you're like, yeah, there's gentrification. It's not even like gentrification. There's like no culture. It's like a nice place. It's nice. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely not much going on there. Downtown's like a big like high school football place. Yeah. It's like real life hunting. Yeah. I started with a
all right, guys, I made it to the summit of Bear Peak at 8,459 feet. The views are spectacular. Got Longs Peak, Rocky Mountain National Park, Indian Peaks Wilderness. Further down the Front Range over there, it's really beautiful. South Boulder Peak is right over there. And then El Dorado Canyon is just below it down there. Really cool. There's the geological marker right there. And then out to the east, there's Boulder. And where I started from right there. It's incredible up here. Only problem is there are a ton of bugs up here. I don't know what, they're not mosquitoes, I don't know what they are, but there's a ton of them up here and they're really annoying. So I'm gonna head a little bit below the summit and take a break. But this is awesome. All right, well, I'm headed back down off of the Bear Peak summit. It's really beautiful up there, really beautiful for a while. The last portion of the trail, you get really great views to the east, west, and the north. And then when you get on the actual summit right up there, you get some nice views to the south as well. But yeah, this is incredible. This is a really cool trail, despite how crowded it is. I mean, obviously there was a lot of people up at the summit. I don't know what the hell those guys are doing, but obviously there was a lot of people up at the summit, but still, you know, it's all worth it. I mean, this part of you know, this area here outside of Boulder is just a very unique and cool little mountain range full of lots of really cool hikes. And I mean, there's miles upon miles of hiking trails back here. So now, you know, I'm crossing this little talus field, and once I get down there, just start heading back down the trail. It's going to be a very steep downhill descent, and there is going to be, you know, some uphill on the way back, obviously more towards the you know, getting closer to the trailhead. There's some uphill going back, but yeah, I mean, it's a tough hike for sure, but as you can see, it's absolutely worth it to come up here. It's worth the effort for sure. All right, well, I made it back down to the bottom of the saddle here, the first place where I got those views out to the west. And so from here, I'll get you a quick view again. It's the last view we're getting out to the west, so enjoy it. But yeah, from here, it's I think this is a little more than halfway back to the intersection with the Mesa Trail. And from there, you know, there'll be some uphill on the way back, but it's a wider path, not as rocky, nothing nearly as difficult as what you find here on the Fern Canyon trail. So yeah, there's Green Mountain right there. It's very beautiful. It is getting pretty cloudy, but it's nothing to be concerned about at the moment. It looks totally fine, and it's still only a little after 1 o'clock, so I got plenty of time before they were saying the thunderstorms would start. Still got a good, you know, 4 or 5 hours, so. But yeah, this is really beautiful. Should also be noted that all of these peaks, you know, that you hike out here, South Boulder, Bear Peak, Green Mountain, these are all really great places to train for doing 13ers and 14ers. You know, here on Bear Peak, you get a pretty damn similar experience to hiking a 14er in terms of elevation gain and all the rocks and just the general difficulty. Of course, the one major difference being that, you know, here you top out at 8,500 feet, whereas with a, you know, 14er, obviously you're over 14,000 feet. So it's a great place to do some lower, not low altitude, but lower altitude training to prepare for doing some of the, you know, easier 14ers. Like, I mean, I would say if you can do Bear Peak from NCAR, you could probably handle Bierstadt or Quandary or Grays and Torreys. Anyway, I'm gonna keep heading back down. So I'm still on the Fern Canyon trail. I'm in the lower portion of it, and I noticed there was a trail split back there, and a lot of people went that other way. I know for a fact I'm going the right way, so I'm not worried about that, but it's just interesting. Maybe a lot of people are coming from a different trailhead and not NCAR. I'm not sure, but either way, all I know is that where I started from, that's the free one. That's the one that you don't have to pay for to park. The other ones, the other trailheads in like El Dorado Canyon, and then there's one other one, it costs $5 to park your car there. Well, this is a welcome sight. I'm back on the Mesa Trail. Nice wide open path and not too steep, and no big rocks or roots in the trail. A lot easier going. All right, well, as it starts to drizzle, I made it back to the final trail intersection. So I'm going to the right. That's the NCAR trail. That'll take me back to where I parked at. And then this way, the Mallory Cave Trail. And then of course where I just came from, the Mesa Trail. Getting close. All right, guys. Well, I'm very close to the trailhead. I didn't quite make it back before the rain started, and it did start a little early today. So you can see right there, that was my destination, Bear Peak. Long way up from here, and there's still a lot of people hiking in. I just heard thunder, so you know, I wouldn't recommend doing that. If I mean, if it's just raining a little bit, that's one thing, but they were calling for thunderstorms today. They weren't calling for them to start until like 6, and it's only it's almost like 3 o'clock right now. So the storms are rolling in a little earlier than forecasted, but you know, it's Colorado, that happens all the time. But I'll tell you right now, you don't want to mess around when it comes to thunderstorms up in the mountains, especially above tree line, but really anywhere. You know, like if it's avoidable, you shouldn't be hiking in a thunderstorm. But I just heard the first thunder like a minute ago, and I'm assuming it's only going to keep getting worse. So it's okay because I'm like, I think I'm about a quarter or third of a mile from the trailhead. So it's doesn't really matter to me. All right, guys, well, there is NCAR. And my car is parked just on the other side of that building, which means that that is a wrap on today's hike. And it was an awesome hike. Really fun time doing Bear Peak today. Really tough hike for sure. Great, like I said, it's a great place to hike if you're trying to train for doing some 13ers or 14ers up in the high country. Well, the really high country. And even if you're not trying to do that, it's, you know, this whole area where the flatirons and, you know, some of the mountains near Boulder are, it's just a very unique looking range, and it's very lush and a really cool place to go hiking. And there's tons of options for hiking trails here. You don't have to do something as difficult as Bear Peak, but you can. It is always an option. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and end the video here. I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and if you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. It's always much appreciated when I get new subscribers. And yeah, I would highly recommend this. I'd recommend you be in good shape if you want to do this, because like I said, I mean, I can't emphasize this enough. It's not easy. It's a tough hike. You're going to go up about 3,000 feet of elevation in less than 4 miles, and the vast majority of that is going to be done in the last like 2 miles of the hike, or, you know, the ascent. So just keep that in mind. There's some light scrambling, light exposure, nothing too serious, nothing, you know, I get scared by extreme exposure, so trust me, I would tell you if it was bad. It's not bad at all. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and end it now, and I'll see you guys soon for another awesome video from Colorado or maybe somewhere else. Have a good one, guys.